Hello Magic fans, I'm Beef and welcome to the first Historic Brawl video of the new Ether Drift format, and today we are playing Sab-Sunen Luxa Embodied. Now, if anything like me, when you saw Sab-Sunen revealed or spoiled before Ether Drift came out, you immediately thought this is going to be an absolute powerhouse, and I'll be honest, it really is. So what is Sab-Sunen? Sab-Sunen is a 5 mana Simic commander. She is a 6/6 legendary god with reach, trample and indestructible, and just straight off the bat, 5 mana 6/6 reach, trample, indestructible are absolutely fantastic stats. But if you know anything about Magic, you know that a lot of gods, especially gods from Amonkhet, can only attack or block if you meet a requirement, and she is no different. She can't attack or block unless it has an even number of counters on it, and 0 is even. But then at the beginning of your first main phase, put a +1/+1 counter on Sab-Sunen. Then if it has an odd number of counters on it, you draw 2 cards. So in theory, its flaw is you play it out. The first turn it comes out, you can attack with it if it's got haste. We don't have a way to give haste. We're not playing Swiftfoot Boots, and I'll get to that in a minute why. But you can block, and it being a 6/6 reach, trample, indestructible means it's a pretty good blocker. And then the next turn, you put a +1/+1 counter and draw 2 cards, but it can't attack or block. This can be broken quite easily by just putting another counter on her, because that draw trigger is at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, but as long as she's got even counters on her at all before combat, or even during combat, she can attack. So it is not hard, and we have plenty of ways to put additional counters on Sab-Sunen. I'm not going to go through every single card in the deck, because this is a Simic deck. You would have seen a lot of them. I'm just going to highlight some new cards, either from Ether Drift, the main counter synergies, well, ways to put counters on her and then counter synergies, and then I'll also highlight Chrome Mox, which I think it was a special guest in Ether Drift, so it is also brand new, but it's an old card. It's a 0 mana artifact, and it has imprint. When it enters, you may exile a non-artifact, non-land card from your hand. Tap to add 1 mana of any of the exiled cards coloured. So if you exile a green card, you can tap it for green. You exile a blue card, tap it for blue. Exile a green blue card, you can tap it for either one. And because it's an artifact, you can tap it the turn it comes down. So you might want to imprint Llanowar Elves, meaning you do have turn 1 ramp, and it's a lot harder to kill. We only have, I think, 2 other new Ether Drift cards. Sky Serpent Seeker, a 2 mana 1/1 flying death touch, so okay stats. Then has Exhaust. Exhaust is a new mechanic. It's basically a activate ability you can only do once. So all exhausts pay for, basically reveal cards from the top of your library till you reveal 2 land cards. Put those lands on the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So it's a good way to get 2 lands. It's not basic lands, it will just find the first 2 lands you've got, so a pretty good way to ramp. And then Unstoppable Plan, 2 and a blue, enchantment, at the beginning of your end step, untap all non-land permanents you control. What's better than having a 6/6 indestructible creature? Having one that untaps at the end of your turn, so it's basically a pseudo vigilance. Next up, we basically have some of the ways to put counters on Sab-Sunen, and things like Gift of the Viper puts a +1/+1 counter and a reach and death touch counter. Saintskin Vow gives it hexproof to end turn and a counter. Ideally we want to use this for protection, but if we don't have another way to put a counter on Sab-Sunen, same with Gift of the Viper, we may want to play stop on our draw step right at the start of our turn, so we can put a counter on Sab-Sunen, so when our pre-combat main phase starts, it puts another counter on it, so we get those card draw, and then still be able to attack with it if we need to. Lost GT, we add a charge counter for GT whenever quick creature deals combat damage. Then we can move a charge counter, and one of the ones we can pick is put a +1/+1 counter on the quick creature. Could also untap target land or cause target creature can't block. Brissy Bill and Roaring Arth have landfall triggers, put +1/+1 counter on target creature we control. Inscription of Abundance, we can put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. 2 is not a great number, because we want to alternate. We want to be able to go draw cards and attack, draw cards and attack, ideally in the same turn. We are also playing counter doublers, or things like hardened scales, which I probably would take out, actually, because we don't want to add more than one. We just want to add more. We want to add one counter at a time. Jiang Yang Yu is a Planeswalker I've never even heard of before and never played, but it causes all creatures with +1/+1 counters on it to tap for 1 mana of any colour, and we can -1 to play +1/+1 counter on target creature. Only has 3 loyalty, so we can only do this 3 times. Rishkar comes down, puts a +1/+1 counter on each out of 2 target creatures, probably Rishkar and Sab-Sunen. Thunderous Velocipede. Oh, this is another new card. It's a 3-man 5/5 vehicle with trample with crew 3. Basically, each other vehicle and creature we control enters with a +1/+1 counter on if its mana value is 4 or less. Otherwise, it enters with 3 additional +1/+1 counters. So if we had this down with Sab-Sunen, Sab-Sunen would come down with 3 +1/+1 counters, meaning it wouldn't be able to block that turn cycle, and next turn it could attack, you wouldn't be able to draw. But if you had a way to put an additional counter on Sab-Sunen, you basically reset that cycle. Railroad Brawler, we've seen before, just doubles the amount of, basically put X +1/+1 counters on a creature when it enters X's power. And Repulsive Mutations are really good in this deck. X and green and a blue. We put X +1/+1 counters on target creature we control. Then we count up to 1 target spell unless its controller pays mana equal to the greatest power among creatures we control. So basically, just for a green and a blue, we can just basically go, oh, you've got counter target spell and it's you pay 6, and obviously if we had mana to dump into it, we can buff Sab-Sunen. Just be careful with this. I have made a mistake a couple of times where I have targeted the creature and then not targeted the spell, and therefore haven't countered anything. But watch out for that. And next up, we just have the real powerhouses, because these are cards which are repeatable ones, and a lot of them we've seen before, and a lot of them are, you know, begin a combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on something. Innkeep's Talent, Fight Rigging, and Sab-Sunen. Much like the Pugnacious Hammerskull or Beatdown Heavy deck we saw in Standard at the time, where you play a 6-mana, a 3-mana 6-power creature, and then you can Fight Rigging straight away to get the creature, to get the card that you've hid away. Same with Sab-Sunen. Ordinary Tumblewag. Hadana's Climb is actually one of the best cards in the deck. A card I don't think I've ever played before. Begin combat on your turn, we put a +1/+1 counter on target creature we control, so that's great. That's synergy with Sab-Sunen. Then if that creature has 3 or more +1/+1 counters on it, we transform Hadana's Climb into Winged Temple of Erasca, which taps to add 1 mana of any colour, which is really good. But then we can pay 1, a green and a blue to tap it. Target creature we control gets flying, and +X will end the turn, where X is that creature's power. So if we have a 10 power Sab-Sunen, we can just give it flying, double it to 20 power, and kill our opponent. This is the best card in the deck. Simone can add a counter to 2 creatures, so usually herself and Sab-Sunen. Anita Spark is another new card. It's a legendary artifact planeswalker equipment for 4, got 4 loyalty. It says as long as Ether Spark is attached to a creature, it can't be attacked, and has whenever equipped. So the Ether Spark can't be attacked, the creature can obviously be blocked and everything. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage during your turn, put that many loyalty counters on the Ether Spark. But it's +1, lets us attach it to a creature, and then put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. So another way to get a repeatable counter on our turn. And then we can -5 draw 2 cards and -10 to add 10 mana of any one colour. But we don't really need that. We just want to add that mana to that counter to Sab-Sunen, so that it can attack and draw cards in the same turn cycle. And then a other card I didn't realise was on Arena, Herald of Secret Streams, 4 mana 2/3. Creatures we control with +1/+1 counters can't be blocked. Now Sab-Sunen has Trampled and Indestructible, so it being blocked isn't much of an issue. But we have so many +1/+1 counters going around, this can basically make our board just unblockable and make Sab-Sunen completely unblockable. So everything else you would have seen pretty much every other card in the deck. We don't have a huge amount of big spells just because Sab-Sunen is our finisher. She is absolutely bonkers. I think I've only lost 1 game, and that was against Ketramose, the other new god in Aether Drift. And I think Sab-Sunen is a more powerful card than Ketramose. But if you don't know Ketramose can only attack a block if you have 7. If there are 7 or more cards in exile across all the players, and whenever a card goes into exile anywhere, the player draws a card and loses a life. So I think the card is a bit weaker than Sab-Sunen, but because the deck is built around exiling, which is the only thing that can kill Sab-Sunen, the deck I think is a bit more powerful. If I was on the play in that game, I think it'd probably be a bit different. But I'll put it in the gameplay video so you can see for yourself. But Sab-Sunen is just absolutely bonkers. I really, really like this deck. Looking forward to carry on playing it. Hope you will enjoy it too. If you do, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my gameplay. Our opponent goes first. We've got some ramp and then future ramp with Sky Serpent Seeker. So give this one a go. We will surveil. Well, let's try and play out the Seeker. We do need a third land for it. Sorry, a fourth land, I mean. I think we just hold up mana drain. We'll have a huge amount of coloured mana. I will discard the Kami. Definitely countering Emery. Purposing pay, I think it's going to be an issue. But they are tapped out, and we'll be able to get down at Sab-Sunen. They're going hunting for wow. Argentum Masticore is going to be a bit of an issue to deal with. Obviously they can't destroy Sab-Sunen, but they can attack through it. Yeah, that's fine. Wow, okay. Wondering what I can get. Immortal Sun. We probably just Basilisk Collar and equip it. And we will put a counter on it so it can attack. We'd like another land so we could play Simic Ascendancy, then put a counter on Sab-Sunen. Kind of bonkers. We've actually not seen many lands. Any, I think, since we've drawn one. Well, that's a problem. Well, let's Emerald Medallion. I think we probably end up fighting the Lodestone Golem. Or maybe countering... Brer is an artifact. So it would... oh, it's a non-creature spell. It's fine, let's kill their Lodestone Golem. They will create a big simulacrum. Well, let's get a breeding pool. Gonna gain a lot of life. It's ward 4. That's annoying. How much do we need? We need 4. So I believe we can. Let's take out there. We will gain life. And we will fight their construct. Obviously, Sab-Sunen having lifelink means when we fault their construct, we gain life. So we're up to 53. And next turn, hopefully, we can play out Simic Ascendancy, activate it to put a counter on Sab-Sunen. It'll be a 14-14. And hopefully we draw something fun as well. I don't think they should have I don't think they should have sacrificed the Argentum Manticore. Yes, you have to discard cards and they wouldn't be able to kill Sab-Sunen, but it had protection from multicolored, so they could have just blocked Sab-Sunen. If I had enough mana... they could kill Sab-Sunen. That is a way to kill Sab-Sunen, but that's it. So 3. And I believe that is very lethal. They could have a Swords to Plowshares, but they don't. Well, one. I suppose we can turn one land on Elves, turn to Tangle Florhegian, and hopefully we draw into more lands. So if our Elves gets removed, we would not like that. And I think we play out the Medallion. Alright. That's a bit of a tempo hit. Do they have more counter spells? No, just a gross file. I will keep that because it's used to be able to counter things. Well, let's make sure we hit a land drop. Oh, they haven't hit their land drop either. I think they have another counterspell. They do only have one blue mana, so it can't be counterspell or mana drain. There's something. They're a couple of turns away from being able to play out a Atroxa. No ramp in an Atroxa deck, that's unusual. Yeah, I think we counter that. They do get a bird. They could have Force of Will. Pact of Negation, sorry. Fair enough. We will put it on the top. Neither of us have been particularly great with our land drops. They play out the Soporific Springs. Yes, I'd like to put it into my hand, please. I'm going to go to my second main phase. So now we do have some mana to play with. So we can Heroic Intervention if need be. And the Ether Spark can put counters on Sab-Sunen. Obviously didn't realise that our god has reach. I am not bothered by a Troxer. But we definitely need to keep up the binding. Well, I think we just get rid of a Troxer now. Sorry, we definitely need to keep up Heroic Intervention. Let's Ether Spark. We'll attach it to Sab-Sunen. And we will just swing in. We can hold up Heroic Intervention and Mana Drain. In fact, I could have played Guardian Project, but by tapping our Fanatic. Next turn we could draw 2, put another counter on Sab-Sunen. They might drown in the lock, but then we can mana drain that. Do they have another counter spell? They're 4 mana up. Doesn't look like they do. Oh, they try to take the Ether Spark. I believe we have lethal. We are going to take a bit of a hit. Well, let's just tick up. This means we can attack with Sab-Sunen, and then let's give a Sab-Sunen flying and +10/+10 to hit in for 20. Well, it's Battle of the New Gods. I don't think this is a keeper. Herald of Secret Streams is pretty powerful, and obviously Scythecat Cub and Mossborn Hydra are as well. But we are on the draw, and they're going to exile a lot of our stuff. And I see Sab-Sunen being indestructible, and Ketramos having lifelink could be a bit of an issue. Yeah, Leyline on the Void's good with Ketramos. If we can get Sab-Sunen down and then Spark Double it. I suppose it doesn't really matter. We do have a counter spell, but it's conditional. No ramp is going to be a bit annoying. We'll play out the Cascade. And we'll play out Jang Yangu because this is ramp. Yeah, let's get it for 3. Okay, that's annoying. But next turn we can Mossborn Hydra. Wow. Okay. They are taking no prisoners. And we'll get our Hedge Maze. Hopefully find that 5th land for Sab-Sunen. I'll keep that. And they're going to get into our hand. We do have two pretty good counter spells. Of course they take mana drain. We'll keep up our repulsive mutation. And next turn we can play out Sab-Sunen. Oh, I didn't target the spell. Yeah, that was a whiff. I did hit their land drop. We don't have a way to put counters on to Sab-Sunen unless they attack with the Darkstar Banisher. Which they do not. Well, I think we Chrome Mox and put out a Llanowar Elves. And let's Spark Double. Annoyingly, neither of them can block at the moment. I'm not going to play Branching Evolution because it means they would gain 2 counters on my turn. We would draw 4 cards, but we still wouldn't be able to attack or block. They're going digging. Let's play out the Herald. And I'm going to keep them back because they can block. And I'll draw 4. So they don't have Shouldered. Yeah, that's a pain. Well, this lets us attack. Yeah, let's get the Ether Spark. Obviously it can't be blocked. I'm going to put it onto the Herald for now. Wow, that's pretty annoying.
I have identified the suspects.
I don't have any planeswalkers. I should have attacked with the cube as well. Yeah, we are, I think, losing this one. We can take out Akaya though.
I've hit a dead end.
Yeah. Opponent does go first. I really like Innkeeper's Talent because obviously it lets us put counters on Sab-Sunen, but we have no ramp. We still don't have ramp, but we do have Wash Away. We'll just get an island. Well, would have liked that last turn. Let's play out Guardian Project. Well, we're going to hold up Wash Away. The manual taps probably give it away. Apparently it doesn't. Let's get out our commander. We'll put it on the Llanowar Elves. We can't cast anything, so... And next turn we can Simone, which will let us put counters on Sab-Sunen and itself. The stick will be from Tyvar, because it can make itself indestructible. Fortunately, I think I'm going to have to hold back with Sab-Sunen. But it probably won't be too long until we can just do a one-hit kill with Winged Temple of Araska. There we go. Right. Simone. Yeah, I think we just hold up Heroic Intervention. You and you. And I will hold back. But I will play out my Fanatic now. We find a way to get 2 more counters, we can have a we can do a one-hit kill. Let's just take out Roxanne. Their Meteor can't kill us. Well, can't kill any of our creatures. Well, let's tatty over. Obviously with Fanatic Aronas we do have quite a lot of lands, mana. We will Ristic Study. Didn't find that way to get additional lands, get additional counters, but that's not a problem. We'll go Sab-Sunen and Simone itself. But then next turn, yeah, we'll have lethal. Yeah, we'll just hold back. Oh, I suppose we probably could have. Yeah, we could have doubled the counters on Sab-Sunen. I don't think it's going to make much difference. There's a big boy. It has haste. Did I give it haste? No, they gave it a counter. Yeah, it's not going to be enough. We'll just play out a land. And yeah, we target Sab-Sunen and Simone again, but then we can even just tap Simone to double it up to 12 counters, so it's absolutely smashing. We go first with an actually pretty poor hand. Well, poor lands. This isn't any better. We're gonna mulligan down to 6. If our opponent decides, they'll figure out what they're gonna do. This is better. We put back Vorinclex. Oh, Incubation Druid. Oh, I like that art. Let us... We'll just surveil, we'll get down the Ascendancy. Yeah, I'll keep that. Well, let's fetch up a... I suppose it doesn't really matter, but let's just get a forest. And we'll play out Sab-Sunen. See, white's one of the colours that has more readily available access to exile effects. Which they're hovering over our creature. Just an anointed procession for them. So we do draw 2. Let's get out the climb. And we will hold up, wash away. And we'll play out sink into... Tell you what, we'll... 3 life. Get rid of their wayward servant. And our opponent scoops. We put a counter on Sab-Sunen. It then has 2 counters, so it can attack. And yeah, we hold up Wash Away for their commander, which they could play next turn. But otherwise, if they play something to create a lot of tokens, we can just Boseiju their Anointed Procession. And yeah, just take over the game. Being able to draw 2 and attack each turn with Sab-Sunen's pretty bonkers. Hello Magic fans, and welcome back to a wrap up. So as I said in the deck tech, this is an absolutely powerhouse of a commander. I think I only lost one game, and that was against Ketramos and other the new gods. And as I said in the deck tech, I think Sab-Sunen's more powerful than Ketramos as a card, but the Ketramos deck's built around exiling things such as creatures, and exile is one of the only ways to deal with Sab-Sunen. So, and we were on the draw. I think if I were on the play, it was would have been a lot different. How I would change the deck. So again, as I said in the deck tech, I would take out the counter multipliers like Hardened Scales, Voron Collects, Kami of Whispered Hope, all that is also ramp as well. Branch and Evolution. I'm sure we've got a few other ones, just because it stops the flow of Sab-Sunen. The idea of Sab-Sunen is you play her, next turn you draw 2 because you have an odd number of counters on her, then you find a way to put a counter on her to get to it even so you can attack, and you repeat over and over again. So you draw an extra 2 cards and attack with a big creature each turn. And as you all know, if you have a Hardened Scales down, it will then, because you add that many +1, you'll start adding on 2, which means you'll never get to an odd number of +1/+1 counters. See, if you have multiple of these, it could work, but that is asking a bit too much. So I would take those out and probably add in maybe a couple more counter spells. Something like Swiftfoot Boots I didn't put in because, one, Sab-Sunen is hard to deal with anyway. Yes, having her come down with haste on the turn you play her would be very powerful and protecting her from those exile effects, but it would ruin the potential curve a bit. You want to play Sab-Sunen as soon as you can on turn 4 or 5 because you want to get that card draw straight away. If having Swiftfoot Boots, if you have it in your hand, it means you'd probably want to wait until the turn afterwards you have an extra 1 mana. I would also probably play Shadow Spear, just because it can turn off Indestructible for your opponent's creatures. So in the mirror match or against Ketramos, that would be pretty good, just be able to turn off Indestructible whenever you want. And also it gives Sab-Sunen lifelink, and having a big lifelink is really, really good. Basilisk Collar gives her lifelink as well. And we can gain a huge amount of life from just attacking all our fight spells. So that's how I would change it if I was going to build this deck again. But she is absolutely bonkers. So it's the first commander I played from Eva Drift, but I'm going to say probably the most powerful one. Luke looks powerful as well, so look out for him in a future video. But in the meantime, I'll see you all in the next one.